I did the tracking on it, and it was at a Riverdale trailer park. So our imagination runs wild.
And you thought Bill stole it.
I thought Bill stole it.
Okay, we're
Down in
recording
Riverdale.
so everyone knows, and we're on YouTube.
Okay.
We're missing a few people, aren't we? Jeff, Ashley, here we go. Julie?
So Jeff, it looks like he's trying to connect to audio. I don't know if he can hear me or what's going on. Sorry. Dean texted me, he's not gonna make it. Nate's not gonna make it. So Alicia's supposed to be coming. Andy's supposed to be coming, and I haven't heard from Jim.
Okay.
I haven't heard from, has anybody heard from Jim? I called him and he didn't answer.
He was here last week when we met.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't.
If he's okay, he's usually here every time. Or at least tells me beforehand. I just want to make sure he's okay.
You go west, you're trying to...
That makes me worried too. He is usually good about responding.
Yes.
Well,
However, because it's not one of our regular scheduled meetings, he maybe just didn't have it on his calendar, and he's used to it being certain days and times. And this one's an addition one. So it might.
I can see that. That's understandable.
Who didn't respond?
Jim. Jim usually responds, but he didn't on this one.
I don't even have Jim's phone number. How crazy is that? I have to.
I do. I could text him
all the time. I wonder if it's under James.
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, it finally connected. It was just trying to connect.
Well, no, I got up and walked away from my desk for a minute. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. It just kept coming across saying trying to connect. So I want to make sure you could hear us. So we're good.
Okay. Are we ready to start? 6 o'clock. We'd like to welcome everybody to the Pleasant View Planning Commission meeting for November the 12th. I'd like to begin with asking for a thought or opening prayer, please. Anybody?
All set.
Okay, thank you.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to meet together as a planning commission for the city. We pray that thy spirit will be with us as we discuss the matters before us tonight, and that as we discuss them, we will make decisions that will be in the best interest of the city and the citizens we represent. We are grateful, Father, for the opportunity to serve, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Bolenberg. At this time, I have the normal reading I have to make, so I won't apologize. It's just, it is what it is. In accordance with Utah State Code, Section 52-4-207, Chapter 4, Paragraph A, I, Keith Priest, Pleasant View City Planning Commission Chair, hereby make the following declaration: that a state of national and state emergency has been declared in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that Governor Herbert has extended the emergency declaration for Weber County issued on July 24th and extending to November 12th, 2020. And that the state code has been amended to allow for the conduct of electronic meetings in an emergency without an anchor location. And that the Planning Commission Chair shall read or cause to be read at each electronic meeting the reasons and facts behind the declarations, and therefore Pleasant View City Planning Commission shall hold electronic meetings as provided for in state code. Thank you for indulging that. At this time, I'll ask if anyone has conflict of interest that they would like to declare at this time. Okay, if not, then we'll ask for an approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Commissioners?
A motion to approve.
To approve the agenda as,
Agenda.
okay, thank you. And do we have a
Sorry.
second?
I'll second it. And also Jimmy James is showing up as soon as he can. He said he's having computer problems.
Okay. Thank you. All opposed to the agenda for tonight, say aye. Okay, if not, let's move on to the item, discussion decision. This is approved, deny to city council, I'm assuming, right? Jill?
No, this is,
Ours?
I forgot to put that on the agenda, but this is one that you would just either approve or deny.
Okay.
Deny. Conditional uses are your guys's.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Discussion.
gonna ask that. Are all conditional uses just planning commission?
Yes,
Okay,
So-
Jim,
unless specified otherwise within the ordinance, which there's not one yet.
Somebody
Jill,
else have a comment, Julie?
oh, question. Am I an alternate tonight or do we have a quorum here?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4. You would be an alternate. So you and Jeff would be the alternates. Well, no, there's 7. So no, you are fine. If we have 7 commissioners, you'd be alternates.
Yep.
So you both can make motions and be part of it. So you're good.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so a discussion decision, approve, deny, proposed conditional use permit of online auto sales located at 879 West Pleasant View Drive, parcel 17-062-0073, the applicant Nick Cutler. Jill?
Okay. And just so you are aware, Nick Cutler is on with us.
Okay.
So, oh, come on. There we go. Online auto sales, the company name would be Pleasant View Motors, just so you guys are aware. And it is located in the basement of the same building Strong Market is. I was able to go on the 5th before our planning commission meeting to go meet with Nick and took a tour, took pictures. This is what conditional uses will be if, you know, when we do get the list of conditions before applicants come. As you can tell, he did pave and it's asphalt. And you can tell there's the 3 parking stalls. I know that there's not a parking right at that spot for the preschool. She will actually be parking in here inside the fenced storage area. That's also his overflow parking. So I know you see the trailers in the back. He's not done putting the asphalt in. He's in the midst of finishing. But once he finishes the asphalt, those trailers will be gone. He's just temporarily storing them for family. So again, they'll be gone by the time.
Is the upper portion of the parking lot, is it asphalt?
Yes.
Well,
And I didn't get a picture of the top part because that's really straw market, but he's got it all stripped. The line stripe, you can tell down here, there is stripe lines over on this side. That's the preschool's play area. And it's currently getting landscaped. You can see the grass over here. It's not quite done yet. So, I mean, that's in progress. But as you can tell right here, it doesn't have the height for the fence. If you can see this picture right here, you can see how there's poles popping up and there's wire. He's going to be getting that on top of the rest of the fence. So it does make the height requirement that we put, and it's still non-climbable. So he meets that requirement.
okay.
The paving, up at the top, as you can see right here, he's paved all the way down. It's paved all the way out. We aren't going to have curb and gutter right here or along this parcel, because depending on what they do when someone purchases that, we want to make sure we have shared parking. So it's a little easier access for everybody. So here's their sign. It actually meets. It's not very big and it's on the building. As you can tell, right next to the little preschool's sign. It looks actually really nice. We walked in, he's got his own entrance off to the side. There's the preschool entrance. At the bottom, you can see, this is where the lobby will be. He's got 2 desks. I mean, it's not finalized, but it looks really nice. And he's got a nice bathroom and everything. So, I mean, he meets all the conditions. He's still working on, hopefully you were able to read the packet. He's not quite done with the paving, but he will be. It's kind of cold now, so it's too
That's
hard for him right now.
closed, so you'll have to wait till the spring now.
Right. And the landscaping, to be honest, we usually give them at least 12-month period. If we gave them 6 months, it would barely be spring, and who knows what spring is going to hold, right?
Right.
So we want to give them a good year.
Yep.
So that's what we're recommending, and hopefully you guys were able to read through all that. And do you have any questions for me?
I have one.
Okay.
So the wire that's going to go above the 4-foot fence, it will not be serpentine wire, correct?
It's straight. Nick, I believe it's barbed wire, correct? What kind of wire? What kind of the wire are you using at the very top that's going to go straight across?
It's just I guess I don't know what they call it. It's not a barbed wire, but just a regular wire that they pull taunt across the top of that.
So it's
it could be a barbed wire.
I would recommend, for your sake, that you not put a barbed wire or a serpentine wire, because if anybody climbs and gets cut, you're going to be held accountable as an attractive nuisance.
Nice liability there. So yeah. I just have I forget what he called it, but it's just a type of wire they pull tight. I'm not sure exactly what he calls it. It's on the books to be done. He's just finishing up other jobs. He should be there within a week or 2. He said to finish the 2 sides that need to be done.
Perfect. Thank you.
And so it's a 6-foot fence. He's just adding a foot.
Oh, I got you. I thought it looked taller than a 4-foot, but
I
does
put
it
the
require
camera up higher, so it might have looked smaller because I'm short.
do we require 7 foot in our code?
Yes. With the ordinance that we just passed, it was 7.
Okay,
Keith, may I ask a question or may I make a comment?
please.
When Jill and I met with Nick, that was part of, if it, in the conditions and whatever, it didn't specify what type or, how, it just had to be 7 foot. And so since there already was wire around the enclosure, why not extend it to meet the conditions and also provide, protection or security for the vehicles or whatever else in the enclosure?
Yeah, just like I said, caution to the wind. Make sure it doesn't have anything sharp or barbed.
Oh, and I did notice there's no light issues there. I know that was one of our conditions. He's already got a plan for snow plowing. It's not going to create an issue on our end at all. He was wonderful and shared that with me. He's got cameras to protect his property, and he's ready for the most part. Just the little things that, granted, the time of year that it's landed, it's a little bit difficult.
Okay, so
with the barbed wire, I just have a question. With the barbed wire, like you're telling me someone climbs someone else's fence and they get hurt. Hold on. Oh God.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
All right, sorry, I have to hide from my children. I thought my husband would take care of them, but apparently not. Okay, yes, they can sue even though they were probably not supposed to climb a fence.
Yep.
But then I've seen fences with barbed wire on it. So how are those?
So it just depends. There's grandfather clauses if a fence existed for so long. And I don't know if our ordinance excludes. I'm just letting the property owner know that laws will favor the plaintiff if somebody gets hurt because they call it an attractive nuisance. Kids playing around, they jump up the fence, they start to go over. Serpentine wire is the razor. It's got the razor edge.
Okay.
That
It's
could
the
be really
different-
dangerous.
if it's a private residence, it's different than say like a place of business. You're inviting people to come to your business. People aren't trespassing. This is an open business. And so if you haven't met the conditions and things like that to provide protection and safety and all those things for the people that you are inviting to come to your business, you are liable. If it's a private residence, it's different. It's kind of like, look at it a little bit, and it's even more so if you're a city and you're inviting people to come and conduct business upon your property. You need to make sure it's the most safe environment as possible. You would think, oh, people should be smarter than to climb a fence that has barbed wire. But again, you're open for business. And so the equal protection of making sure that the business owner is protecting you and they're also protecting themselves from you.
Well, and it also applies to certain uses of private property.
Right.
Also, for those of us who are over 40, will remember basketball standards in all of the church parking lots. They've all been removed just for that reason. If somebody gets hurt playing basketball in a church parking lot, church is liable because we invited them to come in and play ball, even though they didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So when we talked about this code, we talked about having one 12-month period, correct? With a 6-month extension, or was it just one 12-month period?
One 12-month period. And if they absolutely, positively need that 6-month extension, they'd have to come in and apply for it.
Well, I know Nick is working really hard on this, and I don't have any concern in my mind that this will all be met. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant or Jill?
I've got a question for Jill. You had commented of no curb and gutter coming down because somebody might be buying that other piece. What was it you said, and what are we talking about? Because I thought that other piece was parking for Straw Market. Can you explain?
That side parcel, he just used it as extra parking, overflow parking, if you will. But he's currently listing that parcel, so someone will eventually want to buy that and possibly put something on that. So depending on who buys it and whatever they decide to put there, if it's a business, which that's what the zone is, depending on how they design it, we will want shared parking. Or not shared parking, but shared entrance. So one side can go, Andy's got a question. But does that make sense? If you look down on, for example, the C-store, the gas station right off of Rule on White that just got built not too long ago, they have a shared entry between the two, them and the bank. So that way they can go in between. That's what we would do here as well.
Okay, can you go back to the picture? It was just looking like from the incline going down.
Yeah, that's the incline. So depending on what they decide to do, let's see, come on, computer. Oops. If they decide to put a retaining wall and then put a curb or something, depending on what they decide, depends on what we would have them do. If they're just going to put a building there and do a drain, that's usually
on the south end of that. If you just go all the way south and then go west, doesn't the city own that approach?
Yep. So let me show you this. Hold on.
The city owns the right of way.
Okay.
So
and that's a 20 foot or 18?
It's a 12 foot.
12.
So
And
let me show you.
That piece is also zoned neighborhood commercial as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So while I'm pulling this up, I don't know if you want to move to Andy's question or comment.
Commissioner, please.
Julie actually jumped in there on part of my question, but I'm going to have to piggyback a little bit in here on, because you brought up the part of that whole, when you said the selling of that lot, because part of my understanding was the car lot was part of that whole discussion of that corner lot. And so part of us, approving this corner lot was that's where the business was, and therefore we were approving the corner lot was the car lot, and they could do the adjacent business in the business basement. And we approved a I want to say the whatever that guard or the kindergartner or whatever we're calling it is the subset business in there. They had the driveway and the throughput driveway. The turnaround was all based on having that side turnaround. And now we're going to sell that side business, but you can't have it both ways. Now that we've approved it using this turnaround and using the safety of the kids and the turnaround and all of that, so can we go back and nix that other business? Because now we're going to turn that lot, and where's the safety? You can't have both ways.
I understand that.
Can you give us an
How
aerial
many
photo, please?
businesses? I don't think it specifies how many businesses you can have in that building. There's nothing in the code that talks about that. I think that there was an implied
There
intent.
was. When we were,
Well, is there something in the code that says he can't have that many businesses in that building?
when we were talking about that originally, Sarah, that's why we were saying that up front. And we were saying if there was approval of that or not, and we were talking about the safety, and he was approving that safety of the drive-through. And that was part of his whole master plan of that, and the cars and how many lots and how many people were going to be able to drive on that. That was the whole master plan of that. To me, he just threw the whole thing out the window. I mean, I was totally on board with this whole thing tonight, saying based on what was approved and what was going forward, I was all for it. The only question I had was the water flow down that. Was it going to have any hindrance in flowing down and being a water flow problem into the city's property? But what you just presented now throws everything that we've approved up to this point. And to me, now I have a question. I have more questions now than what I did going into it. It's not the same proposal. It is not the same proposal what they've proposed to us over the last few presentations. Or at least I need something to tell me differently. Keith, would you help me understand what is different than the last two presentations?
Yeah, so I'd like to see the aerial photo if we could, Jill.
You bet. So you see on, here it is. Here's the actual map. So this parcel is the Straw Market, the preschool, and the proposed Pleasant View Motors. I know the original idea was to have the used car lot on this parcel. Therefore, we didn't do the rezone. Then we started talking about the conditions for a used car lot. And that was a pretty hefty hit for Nick. And so he asked about online auto sales instead. So we went through that condition and we looked at everything. We made the conditions. So the idea, because he's not going to have that many cars stored and he's not going to have cars out for sale, they're just for those that are coming to either purchase the vehicle or for them to come and test drive. They're not out showing cars, people coming up. Everything's strictly online. That's why we did an online.
Jill, I think Commissioner Neff's concern is that south parcel.
Right, this one.
And the reason why I don't have a problem, Andy, is because that's really an unbuildable lot. As we discussed earlier, the city has a 12-foot right-of-way at the bottom, and then it's a very steep incline up. And so I don't even know what that strip of property could be sold for. So I don't see anything that could be put there. Because the city
property
Well,
is,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
this property right here that you can see
Yes,
is the property, or is Pleasant View's, it's ours. There's a 12-foot right of way. And I went to the county and I looked back years and years and years. This right of way on this 883 West Pleasant View Drive, the right of way is ours, and it's on this property.
I thought we had a right of way at the bottom of the hill, right there where your cursor is.
Technically, these lines aren't 100% accurate. That's exactly what Weber County GeoGizmo has let me know. They're slid just enough. So our property line is, I don't know if you can see the curb and the parking lot right here.
Yes, yes.
This would technically, right here, would be all in this. So this property actually goes to about right here and goes straight to there.
So this other parcel is actually owned by the city.
This parcel down here
Yes.
is ours. It is our property.
So when you was talking about selling, because you
He's
did
selling this
comment,
top.
but that's going to be all of the part of the online, correct?
The all
Jill.
online will be under the address
So
879.
Jill, could you show us on this map that you're drawing on, how he has proposed to drive those kids? They're coming down this road that because they were supposed to make a loop and stay on his property and then back out.
He has this right away on this side. That's his property.
But then they were supposed to go back up and back out on the other, back up on the 883, right?
So yes, normally the right of way on the 883, if you can see this dark brown right here,
Yep,
that's actually 883.
right. And
So-
that's when they were supposed to loop back up.
It would come out onto the little parking lot off to the side and go up. Right where they're talking about driving is actually our right of way on that 883.
So we shouldn't have ever approved it to be on that for that right of way.
It's a right of way. Here's the hard part. Because it was a permitted use, we couldn't say no. Because there's no written conditions within our ordinance before they came. That's the hardest part. That's why I'm going to be going through all these conditional uses that we're putting on certain uses, and we're going to go through and we're going to have to create all these conditions.
Hey, Jill, I've got a question just because this really is different than what we had talked about before. And before we had talked about our concerns over parking because we have 3 businesses in that building.
Yeah.
And now we're finding that the overflow parking, so to speak, may be sold.
The overflow parking that he has is actually down here where the fence was.
Right.
Okay, it's just I've gone by there a number of times and I'm really excited for how well the business seems to be doing there. But in that pad next to him that is now apparently up for sale, that's where I see a large number of cars parked. So when you have a preschool program and the parents are all coming to see their child perform for Christmas or graduation, where is the parking going to be?
Jill, can you go to page 8 of 17 in the packet?
Keith,
I
may
can't
I,
present it, but yes, I know what one you're talking about.
Keith, can I ask a question real quick?
Please.
Okay, so I understand all the concerns that are going on. I guess my question to you guys is, you can't go back and see what's already approved as an approved use. You have to look at the use that is being before you now. Does it meet the conditions, Jill? That's the question. You don't look at hypotheticals and what things may or may not work. This is just my advice, and I'll shut up if you want me to, Keith. But when we talk about other things that are going on in that building, you're not addressing what is before you. You're addressing what the applicant is submitted right now. Does it meet the conditions that the on auto cells, what you guys approved and what the council approved and put before you? Does it meet those conditions? If it does, then it's a yes. If it doesn't, then it's a no. Stick to the conditions. Don't talk about things outside of conditions.
So I appreciate that. I'm still very curious about the way these lots are labeled. We're looking at 879, which is Straw Market.
Correct.
883, which is the parking lot or the car lot online. And 885, who owns 885? Is that the city?
885. Our parcel doesn't have an address.
So
883 is just an empty lot. It has nothing to do with this application. If you look on the front where it says basic information, it says location 879 West Pleasant View Drive. And the actual application, which is under attachment 4, the location is 879 West Pleasant View Drive.
Okay, so now I'm really confused. And now I'm gonna go back to, I thought all this time that we've been discussing, we were talking about the site west of the Straw Market.
That was
That's where the cars is going to be parked.
Originally, yes. That's what the original idea was. Because we didn't have an application.
Okay, so how many parking lot stalls are in front of Straw Market right now?
Straw Market has exactly what they're required for that business.
Perfect.
The nursery, or the preschool.
In the basement has exactly what they need.
Yep, and that's one because they only have enough kids for one teacher, therefore one. And again, it's in that overflow parking, and he's gonna get that.
Let's stay with the parking of the parking lot of the online cells. The parking stalls are going to be in 879 on the north side of Straw Market?
South side. So let me show you this again really quick so you can see what I see.
Okay.
So if you look, there's Pleasant View Drive. Here's the hill.
Right.
And as soon as you get done with that hill, it curves around.
Right.
And here's the back of Straw Market. Here's the 3 stalls, here's a fence, and here's all the overflow parking, which this is right next to the fence, and this is the back of the fence. And those trailers are not little. So he's got more than enough. So when that other parcel does end up developing, he's gonna have all that room for overflow parking. He's gonna have all of his employees parked there, and the preschool, the workers for the preschool park there, and he's still going to have enough plus his storage.
Nick, do you own all the way to the curb where the trailers are? To the south? Nick, are you with us?
Nick's muted. He does own everything because at the end of the trailers, there's a fence, and then that's what Bruce Hunt owns. So he owns clear back to right behind those trailers. There's a nice good fence, which matches.
So now I have a better understanding. So really what he's proposing is his online sales is going to be on the south side of the Straw Market, down in the lower level.
And if I honestly had a lot of concern with parking, as long as he keeps to the parking requirements for Straw Market and the preschool, he should be fine. Again, that's why we want it to maintain the conditions. But that back, I didn't realize how big that back area was until
I didn't know that he owned that whole area back there. I really didn't. But that's significant. So
am I allowed to say anything, Jill? Sorry.
Yeah, Nick, I actually asked you a question and she answered it for you, but
Oh,
the
yeah,
question
that
was,
area back there is big, and it'll hold about. So the guy that did all of our striping, I had him measure it, and that'll hold about 24 stalls. And so 10 stalls for the cars, because I'm allowed at about 10 cars to sell. And then I've got overflow parking for the preschool, overflow parking for the straw market, a huge turnaround area. So they can go right back up the road, or they can use the right of way on the back of 883. And we have about 3/4 of it asphalted. And I'll plan on asphalting the rest of it in the spring.
sure.
Thank you for answering that. It's just different than what had originally been presented. So a number of us are trying to orient ourselves now to that scenario. So
I'm going to be honest, I like this better. I thought that the online sales was going to be west of Straw Market, right adjacent to Pleasant View Drive. And now I see that it's not going to be anywhere near that location. It'll be down at the lower level. The advertising is on the wall, but I like this. I think that works, and I think it meets the conditions. I guess the concern, Commissioner Neff, that you would have is when 883 sells. Do you own that as well, Nick?
Right now he does.
So do you have that for sale?
When I went and looked at it on the 5th, Nick, I don't know if you can hear us, but when I went and looked at the conditions that we've had and took pictures, they were taking aerial shots for to be able to post.
He's got a real estate sign out on the corner of it. It's for sale.
Okay.
I know he was going to sell it. He told me.
How big is that lot?
That lot is approximately
Half acre?
a little bit more than a third.
We would welcome if something that fits in there and fits the proper zoning. We would love to have something be developed there. That's great. I love that.
And
Did we have the engineer look at, with that runoff and all the asphalt, is there any type of a water runoff retention, or is there anything that we need to worry about at this point?
Nick was going to put a French drain. Is that what you stated? And my engineer, I let her know, and she said as long as he does something and it doesn't go on to everyone else's property.
We need to, we spell that out, or something's looked at with the staff follows up on that in our conditions.
Yes. I think that would be a great idea. Thank you, Andy.
I think when I was with you, Jill, that's what I recall him saying, that he was looking into doing a French drain.
Yes, and that's ultimately where the snow would be piled up, so it doesn't, he's got a unique spot, and that's the best that he can do, and yeah.
So the French drain would be a percolating, just let water seep through?
It'll kind of go down under.
Yeah, I understand there are several ways to feed a French drain.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so back to Commissioner Neff's question and concern. And if it's for sale right now, then whoever is purchasing that in a residential commercial, they're going to have to meet the same requirements that this online sales has gone through, correct? And so if there's an issue with the roadway and whatever is developed that's for sale right now, that would have to be met per city requirement, correct, Jill?
That right of way is actually the city's. So
No. I'm saying, so you got the asphalt drive going down.
Mm-hmm.
On the west end of that, it's pretty steep, right? Mm-hmm. So if that property is sold, whatever happens there, that will have to be addressed at that point. Before
yes, we will make sure whatever goes in, it's taken care of for sure. Especially because it's a new, it would be a new structure, and everything would have to play a part. Yes.
Right. Okay, commissioners, any further questions? Is Nick with us?
He was.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Yes.
sounds like a seance. Like, sorry.
So Nick, I just want to, personally thank you for your patience and working so hard to meet the requirements that we've kind of placed upon you as this has moved along. So thank you for being so willing to work with staff and with our city ordinances.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we had kind of a different vision in the beginning, and I really appreciate your guys' guidance. I think what we've come up with now is, like you said, probably a better option for all of us. So instead of having it up there on the top in the middle of a city, we've got them back behind the fence, and it'll be good online sales. So
thank you. I like it.
Been a good process. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant or Jill? If not, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve or deny the, I have to get there so I can read it verbatim. Somebody's camera is making me dizzy. Nick, stop moving. So, sorry. So I'll entertain a motion for approve or deny the proposed conditional use permit of online auto sales located at 879 West Pleasant View Drive, parcel 17-062-0073.
I'll make a motion that we propose based on the conditions that have been met, meet the conditions as, that meet all the conditions. I'll make a motion that the conditions need to be met as staff outlines, with the conditions of paving finished within 1 year, landscaping is finished within 1 year, conditions within the ordinance is maintained throughout the business of the conditional use. Also, the other conditions as outlined by staff. Also, we add that the water is outlined and looked by and followed up by staff, French drain or some type of retention as outlined by staff or engineering.
You'll include that condition, Jill?
Yes. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much, Andy. Okay, we've got a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Everything.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Cummings, you said something?
Alicia beat me to it. I was going to say that about covers everything. We have discussed this extensively in the past, so I think the conditions that Andy stated are pretty hard to go wrong with it. So I think that'd be a good idea.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, any opposed, say aye. Okay, motion's approved. Thank you much. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate your patience.
Congratulations, Nick. So,
I think he threw his camera out.
Yeah, he did a thumbs up.
Okay, good.
All right, multitasking. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Tell Riker hi.
Okay, other business.
Sorry, not professional.
Oh, very professional. We're good.
Okay.
So this was a standoff meeting or a one-off meeting, but we can still go through the other business. Are there any commission communications? Commissioners that are present?
Did anyone catch the conference this morning on Zoom? Was anyone watching that?
No. Was it
The
good?
APA conference? Yeah, it was really good. Anyway, I was just wondering what anyone's thoughts were if they saw it. That's all. If no one saw it, no need to discuss it.
Yeah,
I wish I could have. I was at work though, teaching Riker. Just kidding.
All right. Staff communications training. Jill, anything for us?
Just so you know, our next meeting will be December 3rd. Be really ready to come because we're going to go over all of our meetings for next year. The policy and procedure, we're kind of updating it with the whole Zoom thing so we can be on top of everything with all the changes.
Can you arrange for DoorDash to come to all of our homes to bring the dinner?
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that.
I will be honest, I am uberly bummed we're not having our nice normal get together. We can all laugh and have fun, but don't you fear, I will be coming to your house and dropping something off. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Okie dokie. And I just want an idea, a consensus from you guys, and Keith, if you're the chair, so you let me know. When things like this come up, are we only thinking of doing an extra meeting for those months that we only have one meeting? Because I can guarantee you I'm going to have someone that's going to ask more often than just 2 meetings a month. Does that make sense?
So I guess if there's a period of 2 or 3 months where we only have one meeting, then you're going to have to squeeze something else in. I get that. But if you can, keep it on the regular schedule. As we discuss the dates in December, we'll try to make 2 meetings per month.
So what I'm going to propose next meeting is our normal, where we have 2 meetings every month except for November and December.
Okay.
And then we can have one on the back burner in case, but it's not going to be on the books. But just in case we've got to squeeze something in. Are you guys okay with that?
I am.
Because if we don't have anything, I don't want you guys to sit and plan on it unless you guys want that.
No.
It's not mine. So
it's got to be a pretty good meeting to be better than no meeting at all.
So, all right.
Someone said that.
Well, that's all I've got.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Sarah's got something.
Sorry. Sorry.
Do you want anything from
Sarah,
the council?
go ahead. Sorry.
Unless you don't.
No, of course. Go for
So
it.
we had 27 people apply for the city administrator job.
Okay.
And we all put in we went over the applications and the resumes and put in our recommendations moving forward. And the mayor's going to put together a committee to go ahead and interview the top, applicants and start that process fairly soon. But that's good. And there were a lot of good applicants that applied. Good. And we're going to have a strategic planning session this Saturday. The council is. And we're starting at 8:00. Yeehaw. And so just so you know, if all the flag is taken down, all their stuff today.
That was wonderful. Thank you. That was so
awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It really, really was awesome. And it was such a beautiful event for the community to come together to do that. And we plan on doing it next year.
My 87-year-old mother fell and broke her elbow this morning. So I took her to the emergency room, got that taken care of, and now she's staying with us. And as we rounded the corner and she seen those flags, she literally wept. I mean, it just moved her to tears. So
it really was quite moving when we all met to set them up. It was, and put all the 500 gold balls on the poles and stuff. It was just one of those feelings of you walk through those colors and them waving and just the movement and the whole atmosphere is just, I don't even know how to describe it. It makes your chest puff up and a big breath of just, you swell with pride and just feeling a togetherness. It was really moving. So we plan on doing it next year too. So
it was awesome watching all you guys put it up. I mean, there was even quite a few people in uniform.
Right.
And it was awesome to watch. It went up fast.
Yeah, it did. They have that thing down to a science, man. I'll tell you what, Kirk Chug and Jed Momberg, they're amazing. And
next year, double the size.
That was 500 flags. And when I was talking to Carrie Momberg and Karen Chug, she's like, oh yeah, we want to fill up the whole field. And like, dang, let's do it, girl. So,
I think I've heard a lot of people say if they do the same thing next year, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So.
I'll make Ryan do it. And Jim, you should do it too.
Yes.
And whoever else that I don't know of. Don't mean to not include you. So.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed you've got 27 applications. Who knew? Are there that many city administrators out there looking for work?
No, there's just that many people unemployed.
All of them you would consider worked for cities, so you got a whole broad range. But, you know, we put it on the national listing. That was a recommendation. Anne had a great suggestion from her sister-in-law, who's the mayor of West Haven, of putting it out nationally. And then there was the community development director for Weber County suggested that we put it on the listserv, the APA listserv. And so we did that. And there was quite a few of the applicants that came in after that. So, and if for some reason this round doesn't, you know, produce the results that we feel that the city needs, we can, you know, this is an important decision. We can always go out again. So
you did have a lot of out-of-state applicants.
Yes, and there's a lot of good applicants. And so I think that all of us, the consensus, Jill, would you agree that the council and the staff and everybody's feeling, you know, optimistic? So
we have, there's a few, all of us department heads were able to go look through, and I don't know about the council. I would assume that they dove deep, like
we did, and we all
we jumped in. I mean, we researched people. We wanted to make sure whoever was going to come would have the best, you know, best at heart for our residents. That's what
I even looked them all up on social media. So be careful what you post on social media. I looked up every single one of them.
No doubt.
I Googled every single one of them up, and that's how I got to know Bill before Bill. I found his blog that wasn't private. I found all sorts of information. So I took all of their names and looked up every single bit of information I could about him. So,
Ashley, this isn't me. So if you want to make a motion, go for it.
Okay, I'll be fine.
Thank you. Thanks all. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, thank you. See you all next time. Have
Well,
a great
see you
day.
guys.
Enjoy your
See
family.
you. You guys are awesome.